What's up everyone? Welcome to Keeping It LCFC Drive Time. It is Monday. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Man City result and more specifically virtual assistant referees. I would call them video, but they're virtual. They're not doing anything. They're as bad as the FIFA referees. The levels of officiating in this country are shocking at the top level. I'm sure Championship fans, League 1, League 2 fans, they're saying about the referees they have at their games. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Now, I don't know why it's not good enough. I don't know whether it's because they're not bringing in enough referees from grassroots and developing. I don't know what the training's like. For me, there should be a more organised squad, team of officials. Treat it like a football team. Have sessions, train all the time, work together, get better at your job. It's your job. You have to then train to get better. What do they do during the week when there's no games? What do referees do, and assistant referees and, you know, Premier League referees and FIFA referees, etc., that are in this country? What are they doing during the week? Do they have normal jobs? Because if they do have normal jobs, how is that allowed to happen? The Premier League is the biggest league, you know, arguably the biggest and most successful league in the world, and yet our officials, you know, like I say, I don't know if it's true, have other jobs during the week, aren't fully professional, full-time referees, officials. How is that allowed to be a thing? Surely referees and officiating has to be professional, right? It has to have some professionality to it. Like, so for me, they should be treated as like a squad, as a team. They should need to be better, want to be better at what they do. I'm sure they don't deliberately get decisions wrong. I would hope they don't get decisions wrong, but they're making so many mistakes, and they're basic mistakes. And now they've even got the ability to go back on a decision, looking at a video replay, which everyone thought would get rid of poor decisions, and the on-field referee doesn't bother. They never look at it. Okay, they never go back and say, actually, maybe I got that wrong, I'll go have a look at it. They don't bother. They just decide, yeah, I've made my decision, or the VAR will get in their ear, and they'll say, oh yeah, it was actually this. And they just have this innate trust in each other that that's what's happened. So many people are saying it. If VAR sees something, unless it's 100% obvious, yeah, that's definitely happened, they should say, yeah, it's definitely gone out for this, or this has definitely happened, change this. But they do that now, and they make the decision based on what someone's told them in their ears, without looking at it themselves. They would justify it to the players on the pitch. At the end of the day, it's the players on the pitch that matter in this situation. It's their game that's being affected. Now, obviously, there's supporters and things that need to be kept better in the loop. But the players, it's the players' game at the end of the day. So they should be the ones who are having the information relayed to them, and at least being able to trust that the referee that's refereeing their game is making the decisions, his decisions or her decisions, based on what they're seeing in the game. So we've got all this, and then we have the technology. Now, the technology itself isn't the issue. It can only be as good as those that are using it. There are slight issues I have with VAR, and one of them is the camera angles for offsides, which is the technology's fault. Whether that's the setup, whether they need more cameras, whether they need, like Ian Stringer says quite a lot on the Football Forum and BBC Radio Leicester, that they need to have the camera that goes up and down the field with play, so you've always got a camera in line with play. I don't see why that couldn't be implemented in football somehow. But the questionable offside goal from Gabriel Jesus yesterday. Now, when I first saw the replay, the one that Sky had, the camera was dead level. The camera was dead level, and I've seen a tweet come out about how can VAR not get this, but his TiVo box can see it, okay? So the first replay I see on Sky was dead level with the play, and I've looked at it actually and gone, oh, this one might be close. His foot might be offside. Now, my decision on it would be it's onside, because I don't agree with the inches offsides, etc., etc. But by the current laws of the game and the letter of the law and how they're officiating the game, I thought, oh, that could be close. That could be given as offside. Okay, so you see that replay from Sky, and then when they do the VAR review of it, the angle's completely different. The angle's like 2 yards further down the line. So they're actually looking back on the play. And from that angle, and the lines they put on the screen, and I'm not convinced by these lines, they draw these lines, these dotted lines come down, and obviously the release point of the pass is always questionable. So much can change in a frame change because the frame rate is not high enough. So you see all this happen, and then you think, oh, okay, he's well onside. But how can you have two replays from different angles that are completely different? Because it's perception, isn't it? It's the angles of perception. How do we know 100% that the lines they put on are dead straight? How do we know 100% that the release point of the ball from the player's foot is exactly when it stops? And the fact is, you don't. And that's okay, but don't bother with it. I've said before, VAR for offside should only be when there's a massively obvious error, a massive mistake. Until then, get the linesmen to do their job. Okay? That's what they're there for. Essentially, that's their primary role for me. It's the main job they get. It's their own responsibility. All the other stuff, okay, like assisting the referee decisions, fouls, throw-ins, etc., and helping manage the game, that's all part and parcel with the referee. Their main job, their primary role, which they are in total control over, is offside. So why are they not able to make better decisions? They should be allowed to do it, and they should be trained better to do it. Because at the moment, frankly, honestly, officiating in this country is a disgrace. It's ruining the game. I mean, decisions were already going wrong, okay? Before VAR came in, referees made wrong decisions, and everyone was like, oh, when VAR comes in, they'll all be right. We'll have nothing to talk about. Well, actually, it's all we're talking about because it's ruining the game. The in-game experience is ruined. It's an absolute mess because you don't see what's going on. So you just sat there waiting while a purple screen flashes up with VAR decision, possible penalty or possible red card is shown on the screen. It doesn't mean anything to anyone. It takes away from the game. The players don't know what's going on. They've got absolutely no idea. The players have got absolutely no idea what the referee's talking to the VAR about. No clue whatsoever. It's just a mess. And do we need it? Do we need these microscopic decisions being looked at all the time? I don't think we do. Okay, I've got no problem with having VAR as like a back seat in a game for obvious errors, for questionable decisions where you go, have another look at that ref and make your mind up again. Then that's fine by me, do it. Because we've seen another one in our game of two handballs, essentially the same thing. Now they're not because they're in slightly different situations, but they're both, neither player has deliberately handled the ball, I don't feel. Okay, so I'm not saying Kevin De Bruyne has deliberately tried to handle that ball. However, letter of the law, like Brendan Rodgers says, his arms are in an unnatural position. Nobody else in that wall puts their arms up. The ball isn't going to hit Kevin De Bruyne in the face. It's not going anywhere near his face. It's going past his face because he turned away from it. So he's turned away and he's put his hands out. So he's actually made his body bigger, which as far as I'm aware was a reason to give handballs. If you're making your body bigger, okay, so you're putting your arms, one, unnatural position, yep, your arms don't live up by your head. But again, if the ball's coming right at your face, I can understand you putting your hands up, and I've got no problem with those not being given as a penalty. But the fact is, he's moved his body out of the way, and he's put his hands where his head was, and he's stopped the ball on its trajectory. Now, an initial look at it looks like it's going to be on target. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go in. I'm not saying Ederson's going to be beaten. But it's on target. It's a chance. And it's irrelevant, really, because it's a shot that should be given as a penalty because he saved it. So that's the first one. So you're looking at that, you think, okay, that should have been a penalty for me, 100%, no doubt in my mind it should have been a penalty. The referee hasn't given it, the VAR hasn't even looked at it. Now, one of the things that I don't agree with, but I didn't really notice, many of the Leicester lads going mental claiming for a penalty. Okay? The Man City lads, when it hit Dennis Pratt on the arm, all over the referee. Now that shouldn't need to be a thing. It shouldn't need to be that in order to get fair decisions you've got to hassle the referee, because the one thing they're always saying is, got to give the referees more respect, getting in the referee's face is wrong, blah 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 blah, sets a bad example. But actually, the teams that do it, the Man Uniteds are one of the worst for it. Harry Maguire's turned into an absolute moaner. As soon as any decision goes against Man United, he's all over the ref. It was one a few weeks ago. I think a goal was scored and they were claiming a foul on David De Gea. And Harry Maguire's all over the ref. He's like touching him, grabbing him, fingers in his face, all sorts. the FA and the Premier League and the PGMOL are saying they don't want to see it, but actually the teams that do that get things looked at, get decisions. Because we didn't do it. I hardly saw any Leicester players up in arms about that decision. Okay, and it wasn't because it wasn't a decision to make. I just don't think this is not how they are. Maybe they're told not to do it. I don't know. But had they all kicked off and surrounded the referee, do I think that maybe he'd have looked at it? I think it's a possibility, given what I've seen evidence-wise from other games. So there's that, which is frustrating. There's also been a little bit of talk on Twitter today about the Ederson and Iheanacho challenge. One particular tweet I've seen from a Leicester fan who said that he's got no issue with the Ederson Iheanacho not being given as a penalty because it's a collision between two players. There's no intent there from Ederson to hurt anyone or foul anyone, and therefore it's not a foul. Now, for me, you don't have to have intent for something to be a foul. Okay, intent has never been a reason for a foul. It's just a foul. Okay, players get hurt all the time. It doesn't mean that somebody's intending to foul them, intending to hurt them. It's just how it happens. It's a result of poor timing, poor decision making, anything. Okay, so the fact that there's no intent from Ederson to hurt Iheanacho is irrelevant. Okay, so we take that out of the argument straight away. For me, the reason it's a penalty, okay, is because it's dangerous play. Okay, Iheanacho does get to the ball just about first. It skims past his head. It hardly touches him because he's probably half got his eyes shut or he just mistimes his jump or whatever. But it skims off of him first and then hits Ederson, and I think then comes back into Iheanacho's head. At which point, so does a double fist Superman punch from the keeper. Now, again, keepers have been coming out with their fists since the beginning of time. Absolutely no issue with the way he's come out for it, but he has caught a player in the face with a punch. Now, if that happens anywhere else on the pitch between any other two players, it's a straight red card. Okay, now, keepers can use their hands, so him using his hands isn't going to be a foul. Okay, I'll give you that, but if we flip it the other way, and let's say Iheanacho comes running in, as part of his jump, as we all know, anyone who's ever jumped up for a header, your arms go up. So let's say he goes up for a header, catches Ederson with a forearm, okay? Ederson's on the floor, the same as Iheanacho is. Okay, so Ederson's down on the ground for 3-4 minutes, receiving treatment. I 100% guarantee you if it's that way round, it's a free kick to Man City. Iheanacho gets a minimum of a yellow card. Almost guarantee it. So why is it different? Because he's a goalkeeper and Iheanacho's a striker. For me, it's a stone wall penalty, and there is no argument as to how it cannot be a penalty. Now, from what I'm hearing, I listened to the BBC Radio Leicester podcast earlier today, and they were suggesting that the PGMOL had said that it was an inevitable collision between two players, which, as Matt Piper said at the time, yeah, if that was body to body, then I can completely accept that as an inevitable collision between players. But Ederson's punched him in the face. He's punched him in the face, and I don't know if it's true, but there's a potential there that he was out cold on the floor, if not massively rocked by it. Okay, he didn't come out for the second half, and as I mentioned in my previous video, that really, really affected us tactically, I felt, yesterday when we lost Iheanacho. So it cost us a player. We didn't get a penalty, and it's the second time in as many games against Man City that Ederson has cleaned one of our players out and got away with it. Harvey Barnes in the first game. Now, the argument there was, from everyone, oh yeah, but Harvey Barnes isn't getting on the end of that ball that he's flicked past him. No, he's not. But that happens anywhere else on the pitch. They're giving a free kick. If that's a defender making a slide tackle and the attacker nicks it past him, it's a penalty. We've seen it. We've seen it a million times. We've seen them given a million times. So how is it, because it's a keeper, it's just another decision that's gone against us, and we're not the only team that's suffering with VAR rubbish decisions. We've had some go our way. Okay, the offsides in particular, Wolves, my opinion, should have beaten us twice this season. The first game, not handball. Second game, for me, that's not offside. I know letter of the law is offside, whatever, but for me it's not offside. They should have won that game. Looking at other decisions that have gone our way, you've got the Tottenham game where they went 2-0 up and it got disallowed for offside, and then a very, very slight offside. For me, again, I wouldn't have disallowed it. As a Leicester fan, obviously I was glad that it was disallowed, because I think actually that decision changed the game for us. But we should have been 2-0 down and probably would have lost the game. Like, it's just, there's so many rubbish decisions, and as I said, we're not the only team that's suffering with poor decisions, but there are so many awful decisions still, despite the fact we have all this technology that was supposed to change the game, that was supposed to improve the game, make it better, improve decision making, and quite frankly it hasn't made it better. It's got worse. It's got worse, because referees are not making decisions on the field because they're not sure, and they'll think, well, VAR's got my back. If it's, you know, if it was a foul or it was this or it was that, they'll do it for me. The fact of the matter is, officiating in this country is shocking. It just needs to be better. It needs to be your job. You need to study at it, you need to practice at it, you need to get better at it, you need to earn your place to be a Premier League referee, you need to earn your place to be on the VAR system. If you're on the VAR system, you should know the VAR system inside out. You should know the rules. And personally, if we're going to keep this absolutely shoddy system, then we have to start using the pitch side monitors. We have to. And it's got to be quicker. Offside should be one look. You should only need one look at an offside, because if it's not that obvious, then it's probably not offside. Not really. Okay? And they even came out yesterday and admitted Saturday, they got one wrong in the game before. There's nothing they can do about it now because he didn't send him off. But how, as a Premier League referee, can you look at X amount of replays of a challenge by Lo Celso, a stamp by Lo Celso on Azpilicueta? You don't need more than one replay to look at that and go, yeah, that's dangerous, red card, off he goes. You don't need it. You don't need a million replays. So, if I can see that and anyone else can see that, how can a Premier League official sit there with an assistant VAR, sit there, look at that, however many times they looked at it, and decide, nah, it's not a red. Nah, I'm not giving it. I don't think it's a red. And then to later on come out and go, yeah, we made a mistake. So what did they see the next time round? What did they see after the event that they didn't see during the game? Everyone could see it was a red card. Everyone could see it was a red card. The system's a mess. It's ruining what is an amazing product in football. There are fans, I have no doubt about it, who are turned off from football now because they don't like the product they're getting. And essentially football is a product, okay, in its essence. I know it means more to people than just being a product, but for the Premier League it's their product, okay, it's their main export, it's what they do. They've taken something that was so good, only getting better. We've got the European champions in our division, we've got world-class players all over, and we have officiating and a technology system that just doesn't work. It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing. No other league does it like we do. They're usually better. I'm not saying they're perfect. There's poor officials in every division. Of course there are. But they're doing it so much better than us. And at the moment, as Leicester City fans, we are getting a lot of awful decisions. Absolutely awful decisions. Shockers. Okay? The ones we had the other day, shocking. The handball in the League Cup, shocking. They need to get better at it. Not necessarily, I don't even think it's a change in VAR that's necessarily the massive issue at the moment. Yes, it's incorrectly implemented. Yes, I don't agree with the way it's being used, but actually, it's the people using it and the people refereeing the matches that are the problem. They're not good enough. They are not good enough. There needs to be a major shift in getting better referees, better assistant referees, because they're not good enough. Or train the ones we've got better. They need to improve. They need to get better. They're not getting better. They're getting worse. The guys that have got years and years of experience, they're still not good enough. So why are they not getting better? As players, you expect them to get better. You hit a peak, you hit a ceiling in your development, and that's fine. But they're just not getting better. The level's just, it's not getting better. It should be getting better. It should be going along with the game, along with the Premier League. We just got better and better and better year on year, and the refereeing isn't. It's not good enough. Final little point I'm going to make. It's just going to be again about our performance on Saturday. We played, I believe, tactically, Rodgers got that spot on. We did create chances. Our final ball at times just let us down. Final decisions just let us down a little bit. Little crosses that just didn't quite go right. There was decisions made just where to pass the ball, what foot to control the ball with. So I can remember Iheanacho trying to bring one down on his left foot when he's in the box, and if he would bring it down on his right foot, he's in on goal. There was one, I can't remember who it was that had gone down the right hand side. It might have been Barnes, can't remember. He's gone in down the right, and Tielemans is in a great space. He's held his run just back of the penalty spot, and he's got 3 or 4 yards around him of free space. And the ball's tried to be squeezed across to Vardy. It's been cut out, and Tielemans is in acres. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Barnes, could have been Ricardo, I can't quite remember. But it's just a wrong decision. If he brings that back to Tielemans, he's got a shot on goal. Okay, Vardy goes through a couple of times, tries to get a cross in, wasn't able to. There was a couple of Iheanacho got wide, just didn't quite have the pace to take full advantage of him getting in behind. Just wasn't, the final piece wasn't quite there. But we went toe to toe with Man City, who are, despite the fact they've never really achieved in Europe, there's no doubt they've got one of the best teams in Europe. The players they have are absolutely phenomenal. Their first team's brilliant, their second 11's brilliant, and some of their third choice players are also brilliant. They're a very, very, very good side. To the fact that we've lost 1-0 to them, and we're upset based on decisions that have gone against us, we've done well. We've played well. The midfield worked their socks off on Saturday. Pratt, Tielemans and Maddison, despite the fact Maddison and Tielemans weren't at their creative best, in terms of their work ethic and the defensive work they put in for us, I think they were brilliant, absolutely superb. And they worked so hard, and they did try. Maddison was in a deeper role, and again I saw a tweet go out saying that Maddison, why are we employing Maddison in a deeper role? He should be playing as a number 10. This is why he's going to leave us. Now, Maddison for me has got a lot of responsibility in that game by dropping deeper to receive the ball deeper on the pitch. As a team out of possession, we drop deeper. So if you put Maddison, you leave Maddison in his natural number 10 position, he's not getting the ball. I'm sorry, it's not happening. We've tried it. We're not good enough with the other players in there to play out and get that ball into Maddison. Because in the first game against Man City, he was completely ineffective. Against Liverpool, he was ineffective because we were trying to play him too high up the pitch. Because he can't get involved in the game there. You watch Aston Villa do it with Jack Grealish all the time. Jack Grealish comes deep, he receives the ball off the back 4, back 3, and he's able, because he's good on the ball, he's good enough, same as Maddison, they're able to receive it, find a little bit of space and try and get the team working forward. If you put them too high at the pitch, you've then got to try and get the ball to them, and it just was never going to, it hasn't happened for us, didn't happen. He wasn't at his best yesterday, Maddison, but he created a couple of chances. He did some really good things. It was him that played the ball in for Iheanacho when he should have won the penalty. It was him that played in Iheanacho when he just couldn't quite, he made the wrong decision to control the ball on his left foot and he didn't control it. Tielemans did excellent work defensively, I thought, Saturday, being sort of the second and third man in to just make that challenge and win the ball, to crowd out that space. I thought Christian Fuchs was absolutely superb on the left-hand side of the back 3, covering Chilwell, doubling up. Every time Mahrez got the ball, Chilwell was being a lot more aggressive. He stood off of him a lot in the first meeting between us and them. I know it was at home yesterday and the first game was away, but it just felt like Rodgers was right. He said he wanted us to be more aggressive. He said he wanted them to feel our players near their players so they know they've been in the game, and I think we did that. And we were a constant threat in the game. I think the biggest thing for me was losing Iheanacho at half time just took away our outlet ball. because, as I said, I feel Rodgers set up tactically perfectly to nullify Man City. We were allowing players like Mendy to have that little bit of room wide, but as soon as Mendy got it, Ricardo was out there, Sunucci was coming over, and the team was folding into place as covers, which is what you were supposed to do. So as a football coach, if you're playing a back four and your right back goes wide, then your other centre back should fill in at right back, or you put a centre midfielder in to be the right back just while that player's out of position. So we did that. We were covering, we were shifting, we were sliding together to cover those holes, and it was working really, really well. Obviously, we had to work extremely hard. Man City are brilliant in possession. They're able to deal with 1 and 2 players pressing. Not every time, but they can deal with it. So if they're able to get out of that press and shift the ball, then the whole team has to move, and it has to move quick. It requires a lot of running, a lot of organisation, and a lot of shuttling across the pitch and up and down as a unit, and we did it so well. As a coach, I'd have been absolutely delighted with how we operate as a team out of possession. Another thing I don't think Barnes did as well as Iheanacho. Now, Iheanacho's not as good as Vardy at it, but he doesn't shut down as well as Iheanacho was. He was leaving a lot of it to Vardy. So Vardy was, the ball's on the right hand side of the pitch and Vardy's gone in to press it. He's then gone into the centre back, and Barnes is actually closer. Now, one of the other things you would say as a coach is if you're the closest man, then you close the ball, which will allow as a centre forward pairing. So if you've got 2 centre forwards, they operate in a there's like a shuttle. So it's whoever's closest to the ball goes to the ball, the other one drops in, and it just allows one player a rest, and it allows you to have sort of deep cover. Barnes wasn't making that press for me, so Vardy was having to do a lot of work coming across the pitch as well, which he's able to do because he's a very, very fit player and he's got the legs to do it and the tenacity to do it. Maybe Barnes doesn't, but we lost that a little bit because I felt Iheanacho was better at it. He was better at shutting down than Harvey Barnes was. So to lose that, we just lost a little bit of our game. We lost that little bit of extra energy, and the goal we let in was just a lapse in energy, a lapse in concentration. We allowed Mahrez to go too far forward, and again, I heard on the BBC Radio Leicester podcast that somebody should have just given Mahrez a little kick and just taken the foul. We didn't. In the end, close enough to him, he hit the fake shot, slid the ball round to Gabriel Jesus, who finishes well past Schmeichel, who had an absolutely brilliant game again yesterday. That's how good Schmeichel can be. He's a fantastic keeper, and I've said before, we're not going to get a better one, especially at the moment. I mean, who's out there? Who realistically can we go and get that is 100% going to make us better than we are with Schmeichel in goal? And you can't name one, because I don't think there is one. So we need... Now there's got to be another little, just put an end to that. I feel like we played well. We've got some confidence out of that game against Man City. I think they'll be disappointed. They'll be hurting because they probably feel like they did enough to get more out of that game than they did, and I would agree with them. They do deserve more than they got in terms of points. You're looking at Vardy's had a great chance in that first half, and he'll be gutted not to have scored it. Of course he will. That's the type of player he is. So, and 9 times out of 10, Vardy does bag there. But on this occasion, he hasn't. So, he's had the volley as well from Pereira. What a pass that was as well by Pereira. It's just one of them where when it's not going for you, it's not going for you. So, they probably would have taken confidence from that game that they've competed on a level with this team now. Unlike the first game where I know we went 1-0 up, but Man City were completely in control of that game from start to finish. The fact that we went 1-0 up was irrelevant. So we competed in that game. We now head into a Friday night away game against a team that's low on confidence, and we have to go in there and show why we're third in the league. We have to start winning football matches. We're still in a great position. We're still 10 points clear of 5th place. It's a great place to be. There's now 11 games left. We don't have Man City, Liverpool left to play. We've got some tough games. Every game in the Premier League they say is tough, and I'm inclined to agree with it. We've seen and we've done it ourselves. When you're down there fighting for your life, you can pick up results against the so-called bigger sides in the league. So There's going to be some disappointments between now and the end of the season. I 100% guarantee it's going to happen. But we just need to, we're going to get points on the board. We need to start winning games again. Vardy will score again this season. He's going to get goals. It's going to happen. We're going to get there. We just need to stick together, believe in ourselves, keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully not have so many poor decisions go against us. I'm just asking for like a level of equality, I guess, from the officiating. Either be equally as bad for everyone, or be decent, because it's not at that level where it needs to be. So if we can get better at what we do, then excellent. So that's it from me. Like, subscribe and all that good stuff. Probably have another video coming out at some point this week, definitely after Friday. If there's anything else to talk about during the week, of course we will. But yeah, that's it from me. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and yeah, see you later.